I'm about to tell you a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Fact or fiction, doesn't matter. It's all how I tell it. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
This is Diego Cortez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker.
Scoop!
We've had Phil Gordon on for the last 2 episodes, so if you missed him, you can find him on Card Player TV. There will be no part 4.
No.
So join us for part 3 as we wrap things up with Phil Gordon.
You're a father now, and
Yeah.
so you're busy with some other things,
Yeah.
but you're going to have to play some World Series events. Rafe and Perry have bracelets
I
in
know.
Diego, and you and I don't. What are you going to do about
That's
that?
right.
Well, this year is going to be another sparse year for me.
Handful of events?
10, maybe
that's okay.
seven or 8.
Yeah, that's fine.
But look, my son was born a year ago, and there is nothing in the world that is more important to me than spending time with him. Especially right now, he's a year old. He's really starting to get it, you
Right.
know, and for me to spend the kind of time that I would, at the World Series,
Right, you're not
it's
going
just
to play 30
happen.
events.
It's
but
just not going to happen.
10's a good number.
My wife and I we've got a deal where I got to get up with the baby in the morning, and I get my 3 hours of quality daddy time from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And that's really important to me. And while I desperately want to win a World Series of Poker bracelet, I more desperately want to be a great dad to my kid.
What
And
kind of
nothing
priorities are these?
Nothing's going to stop
What
me
kind
from
of
doing that.
twisted
And,
priority?
He's going to grow
So-
up and he's going to be like, Daddy, why don't you have a World Series bracelet? Oh,
You know what?
Uncle Rafe and Uncle Perry do.
when he's a little bit older, and more self-sufficient, and I'll be back at the World Series and playing 30 or 40 events at a time, but not this year.
Well, you could
Well,
still
by
win
then,
one playing
also
10.
by then,
Sure.
by the time you really get back into it, they'll be giving away 100 or 200 bracelets.
Right,
Yeah,
there'll be
why not?
300
Yeah.
events.
So there'll be a better shot.
Here's the
too.
thing: I don't really enjoy the game as much as I used
Yeah.
to. I mean, let's be honest. The games are tougher.
Mm-hmm.
There are thousands of players. The chances of even you playing your best of weeding your way through a 1,200 person
Huge
field with a short
variance.
stack is like
Yeah. It's much more.
it just gets brutal and
It's much
you
more
know,
daunting. And the other aspect, not that I was ever preoccupied with the social aspect, but it was kind of fun at the World Series to play against people you'd played
Right,
against
yeah.
before. And now, of course, you're going to be at a table with no one you know, unless it's the 50K
Yeah.
horse or some big money.
I'm looking
event.
forward to playing a couple of Omaha events. I've been really practicing my Omaha high-low. I think I'm well prepared. I'm going to play the 10K of that. I'm playing the championship event. I'm going to play a couple of the 1500s and a couple of others here and there, as time presents itself. But I don't have the drive and the motivation to sit there and try to play 30 or 40 events. I would rather spend time with my kid.
Yeah, it's a tough
Fair enough.
haul. We were talking about instruction and the fact that you're an instructor in the
Yeah.
Full Tilt Academy and the
Yeah.
WPT Academy. Our research department put out a quote, which may or may not be accurate,
Okay?
in which you said that you prefer teaching to
Yeah.
playing. Now,
Yeah.
there's logic behind it, but what's the rationale?
It's just much more rewarding. Look, as a poker player, your job is to find the most mentally handicapped people you can find and take their money. And at the end of the day, it's not a very rewarding
Right.
life. I mean, yeah, there's some people that are really getting a lot out of it right now, and they're enjoying that aspect. But
Well, there's the
it's
competition. I
it's
mean,
the competition.
there's a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
of
not.
that,
I'm
but
not. I'm not
there's
denigrating that.
there's a
But at
mixture
the end of the
that
day,
competition.
you're judged, and your bankroll is dependent on your ability to find weak,
And
easy
brutalize
money
them.
and brutalize them,
And exploit
right?
them,
And
yeah.
exploit them. And you're not adding anything to the world. You're not helping anyone. You're not really doing anything substantial or important. All you're doing is increasing your own net worth. And while that's all good, you know, I'm not taking anything away from winning, because I like to win just as much as the next guy.
Okay, but just to be the devil's advocate, when you're an instructor, you're teaching others
To brutalize people.
to find.
No, I'm
mentally
helping other
challenged
people not get brutalized.
And you're helping them expand their minds, whether or not.
And I'm helping
Alright.
them. You know,
Okay.
I mean,
I was
for
going
me,
to say that instead of
yeah.
you brutalizing,
Yeah.
you're creating 20 brutalizers. Would be the counter argument. Just to.
Yeah, I don't think with my instruction they're going to become world beaters, but I think they do have a chance of becoming winning
You're saying
players.
they can defend themselves.
Yeah.
Again, this is like the new Phil, and his priorities are off. But you know, it's okay. He's happy.
You know, it's also I tell you what, you know, my son being born is obviously super highlight. You know, getting married to a wonderful woman, super highlight. But you know, in the top 10 moments of my life, I wouldn't probably rank winning Bay 101 or the championship table, the World Series of Poker, but definitely definitely in the top 10 would be walking into a bookstore for the first time and seeing your book on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, or going on book tour and having 700 people
Right.
show up for an autograph. I mean, that to me,
That's cool.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
Well,
that was awesome.
That
was awesome.
Well, you know, see, I can relate to that in the sense that when you're playing against someone, you're making. I mean, in order to succeed, you're making someone unhappy.
They have to fail.
Zero
Now
sum.
here, people are happy and they're sharing that with you.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
assume you've had people who you instructed who later on came back
Oh,
and said,
all the
"Boy,
time.
you know," and
All the time. I mean,
Yeah.
every day, and in fact, every single day, I get 10 or 20 pieces of email
Really?
and mail from around the world, not just the U.S. Like, I read your book, I was a losing player, suddenly, you know, my whole game changed, and I'm up $2,500 for this month, and you know, but that kind of stuff is invaluable. You know,
See, I can see that would be
Yeah.
especially.
Are you going to be doing any more writing?
no. Writing is
You're
hard.
just out of material.
You're good at it.
Yeah,
You're
writing,
good at it, though.
but writing is hard. You know, the last book almost killed me.
All right.
Yeah, and not only that, but I'm not really relevant in the poker world right now. So I think to write a book would be very presumptuous, considering the fact that the game has evolved so much and I haven't. You know, the game is really in a different place than it was when I finished writing my books. And, you know, I'm not the right guy to write a book right now. I'd love to see, you know, some of these young kids that are killing the game.
Right.
I would love to see them write a book. And if they wanted help getting a book into publication form, you know, having done it 3 times, you know, with some success, I'd be more than happy to co-write and help them get what they know on paper.
See, that's
but I'm
the
not
obvious-
interested in trying to write myself.
But that's the obvious angle where someone has a lot of information, a lot
Yeah.
of knowledge, a lot of experience. They just don't know how to frame it, how to structure it.
That's why I think the Full Tilt Strategy guy was so good.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, because there
That's a
you've
very
got the best of
underrated-
the best
Yeah.
in each of their specialty games, really laying it out. And they didn't really have to do much work on it because Michael Craig did such a good job of translating what they know onto paper.
I read that in one sitting. I didn't go to
Yeah,
bed.
I thought it was
so
a great
good.
book.
It's an extremely underrated book. People
think so,
just see
too.
it and they see the names and they think it's going to be this kind of,
No.
you know, high-level advice.
Yeah.
But there's specific game-specific strategy in there.
Game
that's
by
I thought
very,
it was
very
great.
capable.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't actually hype it up too much because of the fact that it really is some of the best material out there.
Yeah,
Some of the
and
chapters
Howard
in
Letter's
particular.
chapter on Limit Hold'em
Yeah.
changed the way that I thought about the game. It really did. I think it's really, really strong material.
It's terrible, Phil. No one should read it. No one should.
Yeah.
bother with
Don't
it.
read Howard Letter's chapter on Limit Hold'em. Definitely affect my win rate.
Phil, it's been a pleasure, and
We're wrapping up now.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this a wrap up?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
But it's been a pleasure to have you, and you alluded to it before, and this is in the lengthy farewell portion of,
Yes.
of the program, but you have given a lot back to poker. Probably the majority of people, including ourselves, poker intrinsically is something where you take, or you try to take, and but the Bad Beat on Cancer, which I think a lot of people now take for granted as being this established success.
Yeah.
It really started with you and Rafe, like going player to
Yeah.
player, and I can say,
Yeah.
player to player, soliciting support and donations, and it's grown organically and grown with your continued support.
And that's
But-
in honor of your
but
good
that's-
aunt that you referenced.
No, but
it's-
that's a tremendous.
She inspired it, but
that really is a tremendous legacy. I joked about the
Yeah.
Bravo being your legacy
Yeah.
because it's probably how you're best known.
For
but,
sure.
But in terms
Yeah.
of really leaving a legacy in poker, no matter what happens now, the bad beat of cancer continues and continues to grow year after year. It's been a real success.
You know, I need to give a plug for Harrah's, and especially Jeffrey Pollock in the World Series of Poker.
Mm-hmm.
They have been unbelievably supportive of the bad beat on cancer. You know, we're very pleased that, you know, this year, and you know, I think we started in 2003, so you know, this will be like the 6th year. You know, Harrah's is finally formalizing our relationship. We are an official community partner for the World Series of Poker. I encourage everyone that's coming out to play in the World Series to just look. It's easy. It's 1%. Most of the time, like 90% of the time, it's 1% of zero.
Nothing.
Right.
You know, but pledge 1% of whatever you win.
That's why I always say
all
I've
the
given
events.
100% most years.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
most years I give
You know what?
100%.
This is not a joke.
One year I gave 1%. The other years is 100.
Last year I cashed in the main event, and
Yeah.
you know, it was a checkoff on
Checkoff right
and
there
I
at
could
the
I could
cage.
tell you, I felt really good about it,
Yeah.
and it's 1%, so it doesn't,
But
you know,
but it is
It's not going to kill you.
but it's something that you feel good about doing.
Absolutely.
And I recommend that everyone who plays.
Not
should
only that, but I know
do
I
that.
can give you this assurance. You know, there are a lot of charities out there that don't do really all that well with the money. I've served on the board of directors for this charity for 5 solid years. We have one of the highest throughput rates in all of charity land. You know, over 80% of every single dollar goes directly to programs, and these are very valuable programs. One of the programs that I like the most, you guys probably like this, is called the Young Scientist Awards, and basically what we do is we take guys that are 1 or 2 years out of their PhD program. They're having trouble getting funded. Maybe they've got some wacky ideas, you know, about how to find a cure for cancer, and we'll fund them for 2 years, you know, for like $100,000. And we get them started, you know. A lot of times these scientists just out of their PhD program have a hard time finding that initial funding and really getting a head start in their career. And I just think it's a tremendously valuable program. And, you know, as one of the board members for Prevent Cancer, you know, I'm able to use some of my power on the board to direct the funds from the Bad Beat on Cancer to these types of programs. And my feeling is that, you know, we've been trying to solve the problem of cancer for 50 years with not much success, although some good success recently, especially with
progress.
Yeah, it was a lot of success recently, but one of these young scientists is going to find the solution. And I hope that people out there that play in World Series events will check the box and donate the 1% and do it in honor of someone that you know that's been affected by cancer. I know that everyone out there has someone, friend or family member.
Yeah.
You know, do it in their honor and do it with pride, because you know, last year we had 25% of the In the Money finishers at the World Series donate, and
That's fantastic.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I would like to get that. I'd like to see that number up, you know, to maybe 50%. But you know, 25%. Once you're in the money, even that's
That's
pretty
a great
good.
base.
It's been
and then
growing.
growth
It's been
from there.
growing every year,
Yeah.
that's the key. I'm glad you're funding these young scientists, because
Yeah.
what we're seeing are these young scientists like Michael Binger becoming professional poker players because they can't really make money as young scientists. So
Yeah.
you're subsidizing them so they don't have to become online poker professionals.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that one of these guys is going to find the solution, and I hope that we're the ones that funded it.
It's not all or nothing either. I mean, the cancer survival rates have gone up in a number of types of cancer, number of categories.
Yep.
So, you know, there's progress incremental as well.
Yeah. So anyway, Bad Beat on Cancer. Check the box. It's super easy to do. I'd like to thank the World Series of Poker for their ongoing support and all of our donors. You know, Dennis Phillips was a 1% donor last year, and PokerStars actually matched his 1% donation, which I thought was just tremendously generous. So
I remember the first year when Chris Moneymaker won the main event, and he actually gave 1% after he won. Is that right?
he did. What he said, you know, what he said was he didn't think there was any chance of him making the money, so he didn't pledge. Right? And so after, you know, when he got to the final table, you know, I was talking to him, like, you know, not even thinking that he would think about pledging, but he was the chip leader going to the final table. He was like, yeah, I meant to do this, but I didn't think there was any chance I was going to make the money, so I didn't bother. I didn't want to take up space on your sign-up sheet.
And he did it.
And he pledged right before the final table started, and he ended up winning the $2.5 million and had no problem at all, just handing over $25,000 in cash.
I mean, I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, me too.
Phil, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Here we are wrapping
This
up.
is the
again.
real wrap-up.
Yeah.
The wrap-up is always lengthy.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
the preface to my questions is
Yeah,
usually very lengthy.
very lengthy.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. Write to us on The Scoop at cardplayer.com.
I've seen just about everything. Seen queens overthrow kings, and straights flushed away. I felt the sweat after every re-raise, and nearly buckled after bad beats. Seen rags lead to riches, and witnessed countless miracles on the river. So if you want to play, take a seat and show me something I haven't seen. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.